Welcome to my channel HD Rare Coins 111, the place where history meets treasure. Here, every coin tells a story, from the oldest United States classics that shaped our past to the newest rare discoveries that amaze collectors today. If you love the thrill of uncovering hidden value, exploring the beauty of design, and learning the secrets behind coins worth fortunes, then you're in the right place. Join us as we dive deep into the world of rare U.S. coins, both old and new, and reveal the fascinating details that make them priceless. Top 1. The Lincoln Wheat Penny of 1944 is one of the most fascinating coins in American history, a small copper cent that carries with it stories of war, change, and incredible rarity. At first glance, it may look like just another penny with Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait, but its year of issue connects it to one of the most important times in the 20th century. The year 1944 fell right in the middle of World War II, a time when the United States was fully engaged in the global conflict, and every material, including metals, was considered vital for the war effort. Just 1 year earlier, in 1943, the U.S. Mint had experimented with steel cents, producing pennies made of zinc-coated steel to save copper for ammunition and military equipment. Those 1943 steel cents are famous today, but the public did not like them. They rusted easily, stuck to magnets, and were sometimes mistaken for dimes. By 1944, the mint returned to copper, but with a twist. Much of the copper used for the pennies that year actually came from recycled shell casings collected from the battlefields of World War II. That means the 1944 wheat penny is not just a coin, but also a symbolic relic of war, representing the transformation of ammunition into money. On the obverse of the coin, Abraham Lincoln's bust still takes center stage. Designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909. His thoughtful gaze reminds Americans of leadership and perseverance. Above Lincoln's head are the words, "In God we trust," a phrase that ties together both faith and national identity. To the left, the word liberty sits proudly, while the date, 1944, is neatly placed to the right. The reverse design features the famous wheat stalks on each side, symbolizing prosperity and the agricultural backbone of America. In the center are the words, 1 cent, with United States of America. Beneath, above the denomination, appears the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, which translates to, out of many, one. This motto perfectly reflected the unity of the nation during the war years. Billions of 1944 wheat pennies were struck across 3 U.S. mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most are still common today and often turn up in old jars and collections. However, within this sea of ordinary pennies, a few rare varieties and mistakes slip through, creating some of the most valuable coins ever found. One of the most legendary rarities is the 1944 steel cent, a coin that should not even exist. A few leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally made their way into the presses in 1944. These coins are worth small fortunes today, because they combine two different stories: the steel experiment of 1943 and the return to copper in 1944. The regular 1944 copper cents also have their own appeal, especially in high grades. While circulated pieces are easy to find, uncirculated coins with full luster and no marks are much scarcer. Collectors look for sharp strikes, bold details in Lincoln's hair and coat, and clean surfaces free of scratches or stains. Proof-like examples or coins that show a beautiful red color, instead of the more common brown tone, are especially desirable in the marketplace. Mint marks also play a role in collecting these coins. The 1944 D from Denver and the 1944 S from San Francisco can be common in lower grades, but rare varieties exist that make them stand out. One such variety is the 1944 D over S mint mark, a fascinating error where a Denver mint mark was stamped over a San Francisco mint mark. These double-marked coins are highly sought after. Other double-die varieties from 1944 exist as well, where the date or lettering appears double due to a striking error. These can bring significant premiums at auctions. Because so many pennies were saved from the 1940s, the 1944 wheat penny is also a nostalgic coin. People often inherit them from grandparents or stumble across them in old collections, sparking curiosity about their value. Even though billions were made, the key lies in finding those special pieces, coins with rare varieties, high grades, or unusual characteristics. Professional grading services often certify these coins, giving collectors confidence in their authenticity and quality. Graded coins in top condition can reach record prices. The history of this penny makes it more than just a collectible. It is a reminder of how America mobilized during war, how resources were stretched, and how even small objects like coins tell part of the national story. For young collectors, the 1944 Wheat Penny is often one of the first old coins they encounter, making it a gateway into the larger world of numismatics. Its design is simple yet iconic, and its historical connections ensure that it will always have a special place in U.S. coinage. And while most examples are worth only a few cents, the rarest varieties of the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny have sold for as much as $387,000. Top 2. The Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1953 is one of those coins that bridges the past and present, carrying with it both history and the artistry of American coinage. When most people see a penny from the 1950s, they may dismiss it as ordinary pocket change, but collectors know that certain pieces from this year are anything but ordinary. The 1953 penny was part of the iconic Wheat Cent series, which ran from 1909 to 1958, before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. On the obverse of this coin is the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. His strong profile remains one of the most recognized designs in U.S. history. Above Lincoln's head are the words, "In God We Trust," a motto that has remained constant on American coins. To his left appears the word, "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1953. The reverse of the wheat cent is equally memorable. Two wheat stalks frame the denomination, 1 cent, with United States of America written below. At the top is the phrase, E pluribus unum, reminding us of America's unity from many states into one nation. By 1953, the wheat cent had already been in circulation for decades, and its design had become beloved by the American public. This particular year was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint mark, or lack of one, adds its own story to the coin. The Philadelphia mint coins carry no mint mark. They were struck in large numbers, but collectors still seek examples in brilliant condition. Denver mint coins bear a small D below the date. These coins are plentiful in circulation but can become rare and valuable in pristine grades. San Francisco mint coins carry the S mint mark and are especially collectible, since the San Francisco facility struck fewer coins compared to the other 2 mints. Billions of 1953 wheat pennies were made, but not all are created equal. Small variations in production created rare varieties that collectors treasure. One famous example is the 1953 double die obverse, where the date or lettering shows a noticeable doubling effect. These mistakes make the coins stand out instantly. Another sought-after variety comes from repunched mint marks. Sometimes, when the mint mark was stamped into the die more than once, the overlap created visible doubling. Such varieties are not always obvious to the naked eye, but under magnification, they become fascinating details of minting history. High-grade examples of the 1953 penny are also incredibly desirable. While circulated coins are easy to find, finding one with blazing red luster is far more difficult. Coins with their original red copper color are prized by collectors because copper darkens and turns brown over time. A bright red 1953 cent is like holding a piece of history frozen in time. In addition to color, strike quality matters. Coins that display sharp details in Lincoln's hair or the wheat stalks on the reverse are far more valuable than those with weaker strikes. Condition grading plays a major role in determining value. A coin in circulated condition may be worth only face value, while one in gem uncirculated condition can be worth hundreds or even thousands. Collectors also look for proof-like surfaces on certain 1953 pennies. While the official proofs of that year are scarce, even regular strikes with extra shine are sought after. Proof coins from 1953, produced in Philadelphia, are an entirely different story. These were made in limited numbers for collectors and today are rare and valuable. Proofs are identified by their mirror-like fields and frosted details, making them stand out from regular circulation coins. The historical backdrop of 1953 adds another layer of interest. This was a time of post-war recovery, when America was experiencing economic growth and social change. A penny from that year is not just a coin, it's a tiny artifact of mid-20th century America, a reminder of simpler times and shifting eras. Many families today still find wheat pennies in jars or boxes passed down through generations, and the 1953 cent is often among them. For new collectors, this coin can serve as an exciting introduction to the hobby, while advanced collectors hunt for the finest known examples and rare varieties. At auctions, the best preserved 1953 wheat pennies have surprised bidders by reaching record levels, far beyond what anyone expected for a coin worth just 1 cent at face value. And while countless 1953 pennies remain common, the rarest and most pristine examples of the Lincoln wheat penny from this year have sold for as much as $335,000. Top 3. The Lincoln wheat penny from 1955 is one of the most legendary coins in all of American numismatics, a small cent that has captured the imagination of collectors for decades. At first glance, it looks like any other penny from the 1950s, but the truth is that this year hides one of the most famous era coins ever discovered. The 1955 wheat penny belongs to the classic series that ran from 1909 to 1958. Featuring the beloved design by Victor David Brenner. On the obverse, we see the strong and iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln, a design that honored the centennial of his birth and became one of the most enduring images in American coinage. Above Lincoln's head appears the phrase, "In God we trust." To the left is the word, "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1955. The reverse design is equally familiar, with 2 wheat stalks framing the denomination, 1 cent, in the center, followed by United States of America. At the top of the reverse, the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, is boldly inscribed, symbolizing unity from diversity. This design had already been circulating for decades by the time 1955 arrived, but what makes this year extraordinary is a striking error that shocked the coin world. In 1955, at the Philadelphia Mint, a die used to strike pennies became misaligned during the hubbing process. As a result, it produced coins with doubled inscriptions. This created the famous 1955 doubled die cent, one of the most sought-after era coins in U.S. history. On these coins, the date, 1955, and the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," show dramatic doubling, so bold that even an untrained eye can see it without magnification. Unlike many era coins that are subtle and require careful study, the doubling on this penny is unmistakable, which is part of what makes it so famous. Collectors around the world instantly recognize this variety as a crown jewel of 20th century numismatics. Most 1955 doubled die cents entered circulation, meaning that many were discovered in pocket change by ordinary people. This sudden discovery in everyday life made headlines and sparked a new wave of interest in coin collecting during the 1950s. Even today, people still dream of finding one in an old jar or box of coins saved by their grandparents. But the doubled die is not the only interesting part of 1955 pennies. Regular 1955 cents without doubling are still collectible, especially in high grades. Philadelphia produced the majority of the pennies that year, but the Denver Mint and San Francisco Mint also struck large quantities with their D and S mint marks. Each version has its own story and collectible appeal, but the Philadelphia issue with the famous doubling remains the star of the year. Condition is a critical factor in determining the value of these coins. Circulated examples of the doubled die are valuable, but uncirculated examples are treasures. Coins with their original red copper luster are especially prized because copper tends to darken over time, making bright red coins a rarity. Proof-like coins from 1955 also exist, made in small numbers for collectors, and these too carry significant premiums. The doubled die error is not the only variety known from that year. There are also repunched mint marks and minor doubling varieties from Denver and San Francisco, though none compare to the Philadelphia doubled die. The story of the 1955 double die is often credited with inspiring a new generation of coin enthusiasts. It became a symbol of how small mistakes could lead to great treasures. Auction houses have seen fierce bidding wars over these coins, with collectors willing to pay extraordinary amounts for the best preserved examples. The cultural impact of the 1955 double die is still felt today, as it remains one of the first coins young collectors hear about when entering the hobby. It proves that even the smallest details on a coin can carry enormous significance and value in the numismatic world. For many, owning a 1955 double die penny is not just about having a coin, but about holding a piece of American coinage history that changed the hobby forever. And while most 1955 Lincoln Wheat pennies are worth only a few cents, the rarest and most famous examples from that year have reached astonishing prices, with some selling for as much as $327,000. Top 4. The Lincoln Wheat penny from 1956 is one of those classic mid-century coins that continues to fascinate collectors and casual finders alike. At first glance, it may look like just another penny with Abraham Lincoln's face on it, but hidden within this year are treasures, varieties, and remarkable stories. By 1956, the Wheat penny design had already been in use for nearly 5 decades. Starting in 1909 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the obverse features the familiar portrait of Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner, which has become one of the most enduring designs in American coinage. Above Lincoln's head is the motto, "In God We Trust." To his left is the word, "Liberty," and to his right sits the date, 1956, sometimes with a mint mark just beneath. The reverse carries the famous wheat stalks on either side of the words, 1 cent, with United States of America. Directly below. At the top, the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, appears, a motto reminding the nation of its unity. For decades, this reverse design symbolized agriculture, prosperity, and the strength of America's economy. In 1956, 2 U.S. mints produced these coins, Philadelphia and Denver. Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, while Denver pennies bear the D mint mark under the date. Billions of pennies were struck that year, making them common at face value, but not all are created equal. Within this large mintage are coins of extraordinary quality, some with rare errors or varieties that turn a 1-cent coin into a collector's prize. Collectors pay particular attention to the condition of these pennies. Circulated coins are plentiful, but brilliant uncirculated coins are far harder to come by. One of the most important qualities is the color of the copper. A 1956 penny with its original fiery red luster is much more valuable than one that has turned brown over time. The strike quality also matters. Coins with sharp details in Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks are highly desirable compared to weakly struck examples. Proof coins from 1956 were struck in Philadelphia for collectors and are distinct for their mirror-like surfaces and frosted details. These proof cents were never intended for circulation and are scarcer, making them prized additions to collections. Among the 1956 issues, there are also fascinating mint errors that stand out. Some examples include double dies, repunched mint marks, and off-center strikes. A double die can make the date, motto, or lettering appear duplicated, an error that instantly catches the eye and increases a coin's value. Repunched mint marks, where the Denver D was stamped more than once, are also collected as minor varieties that bring premiums. Off-center strikes are dramatic errors where part of the design is missing because the blank was misaligned in the press. These coins are especially popular among error collectors. The large number of coins struck in 1956 means that varieties and errors are out there waiting to be discovered in collections, rolls, or old jars of change. Beyond errors, grading plays a massive role in the value of these coins. A well-preserved penny graded MS-66 or MS-67 can sell for extraordinary amounts. Auction results have shown that the very finest known examples of the 1956 Wheat penny command high bids from collectors who want only the best. This coin is also beloved because it comes from the later years of the Wheat penny design, which would only last 2 more years before the switch to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. That makes the 1956 issue one of the last examples of this classic era in American coinage. A piece of history soon to be replaced by a new design. For many collectors, wheat pennies like the 1956 are nostalgic, reminding them of coins they once found in pocket change as children. Even though billions were struck, the best of the best remain elusive and continue to rise in value as collectors compete for them. The 1956 Lincoln wheat penny may look ordinary, but in reality, it carries stories of artistry, history, minting quirks, and collector passion. And while most 1956 pennies will always be worth only a cent, the rarest and finest examples of this coin have sold for as much as $324,000. Top 5. The Lincoln Wheat Penny from 1958 holds a special place in American coinage history because it marks the end of an era. This was the final year that the famous wheat reverse design appeared on U.S. pennies before it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. That alone makes the 1958 issue significant, as it closes nearly half a century of production for the beloved wheat cent series. On the obverse, we see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, which had already become an American icon by this time. Above Lincoln's head is the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left is "Liberty," and to the right is the date, 1958. Just below the date can appear a small D mint mark if the coin was produced in Denver. Philadelphia coins of this year carry no mint mark. The reverse design features two wheat stalks, one on each side, framing the denomination, 1 cent, and the country's name, United States of America. At the very top is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many one, a reminder of national unity. Billions of pennies were produced in 1958, both in Philadelphia and Denver, making it a common date for circulation pieces. However, collectors know that even in common years, rarity can be found in condition, quality, and unexpected errors. The 1958 wheat cent is particularly remembered for having one of the most famous double die varieties in all of U.S. coinage. This double die is dramatic, with the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," showing clear doubling that can be seen without magnification. It is so striking that even people who know little about coins recognize it instantly once they see it. The 1958 double die penny is extremely rare, with only a handful of examples known to exist. This rarity makes it one of the most valuable era coins in American history. Beyond the double die, collectors also seek high-grade 1958 pennies that still retain their original bright red copper luster. Copper coins naturally darken over time, turning brown, so finding a coin with its original fiery red glow is always special. The sharpness of the strike also matters. Coins with bold details in Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks are far more desirable than those with weak strikes. Proof coins were also produced in 1958 at the Philadelphia Mint for collectors. These proofs are known for their mirrored fields and frosted details. They were struck in small numbers compared to regular circulation coins, making them an important part of the series for collectors. Repunched mint marks and other minor varieties from 1958 also exist, adding depth and variety to what collectors can look for. Off-center strikes, die cracks, and other minting errors from this year also add excitement, since they create unique pieces unlike any other. The Philadelphia Mint struck more coins than Denver in 1958, but the Denver issues are equally collectible, especially when found in high grades. What makes the 1958 penny so appealing is that it combines both common availability and rare treasures, depending on the exact coin in hand. For many people, the wheat cent design carries nostalgia, as it was the last year anyone would see the wheat ears on a new penny. When the Lincoln Memorial replaced it in 1959, it marked the start of a new chapter, but also the end of a design that had been a part of American life for nearly 50 years. That sense of the last of its kind makes the 1958 penny stand out among collectors who cherish historic endings. Auction houses have seen fierce competition for the rarest and finest 1958 wheat pennies, especially the double die variety. Stories of these coins reaching extraordinary prices remind collectors that even a 1-cent coin can become a treasure worth a fortune. And while countless 1958 wheat pennies remain worth just a cent, The rarest and most remarkable examples from this year have sold for as much as $321,000.